to me. Oh, I believe that you're still here with me. Cause you meant what you said when you said you never leave. So carry me now. From my sinking sand to your solid ground. The only way I'm ever gonna make it out is if you carry me.
All right. Good morning, everyone in North America, and good evening. Good evening for everyone that's over there watching this in Asia. We are extremely excited to host episode 4 of Help Other People Endure, Project Hope. And we need to go over some housekeeping announcements real quickly before we actually begin so that we all know what's going on and what's expected of us. Number one, when you came on to this Zoom call, you were immediately put on mute. If you see that you're, accidentally unmute yourself, please, folks, do your best to kind of stay on mute until the end of the program where we will do a Q&A session. We want to make certain that there's not a lot of background noise and stuff like that, like the cats and the dogs barking, whatever. And if the cats bark, that's going to be really interesting anyway. All right, so we want to make certain we remain on mute. You can see that if you haven't done a lot of Zoom before, there are a lot of features. You can even touch up the way that you look on the screen, because I'm going to go back and forth between gallery view and speaker view, and you have those controls as well on your side. You can see that in the top part of your little frame. I am joined by many other speakers where this is about lifting up Singapore itself. So if you didn't get the handout, please, folks, go to the Facebook page, our Facebook group, Project Hope, Help Other People Endure, and get it either as, just before I start getting into the introduction, or you can get it afterwards. But at a minimum, please take good notes. Please take good notes, because the purpose of this entire journey of joy is to make certain that we focus on authentic happiness, and that we can lift people out of dark days, and that we could just focus on inspiration and hope. So again, if you're in Asia, this is a night of hope. Like Joel Osteen says, it's a night of hope. And I really want to say before I begin, I want to thank, as the last part of my housekeeping announcements, I want to thank Edgar. Edgar has been a dear friend of mine for years. He's the one who brought me out there. As many of you know, because I see a lot of your faces and I recognize you, as many of you know, he's brought me out there several times to lead boot camp instructor certifications and resilience training, life coaching. Because we all know the emotional dimension goes hand in hand with the physical dimension. And he's the type of person that when he says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, what are your thoughts? I drop everything I'm doing to support him, because he's always had his heart to help Singapore and all of Asia itself, right? If not all the world. But his heart is in the service of others. He and I were talking one time, and I think it came up in a conversation that he says, when we serve, we actually feel like we are living. And so this would not be made possible if it wasn't for the great work of Fitness SG and Edgar C, and of course his entire team. So let's get ready for that journey of joy, and let's get right into the opening. So that concludes the housekeeping announcements, and get ready to take notes. My 10-year-old son hugged me the other day and said, "Daddy, I'm so glad that you're home." His gentle embrace and warm words freed me from the frantic feelings I was overwhelmed with at the very moment. You see, I was shackled in my own mental prison, trying to create a sensible solution for 30 canceled speaking events, resulting in a massive loss of income for 2020. He noticed the anxiety in my eyes and responded with a sudden act of grace and love. You see, we don't need to live the way the world is now. We need to live the way we want the world to be. How do we summon strength in a storm of dread and doubt? How do we effectively lead our family and friends to solid ground when we may not have figured it out all ourselves, and how to overcome our own obstacles? How do we muster a mindset of growth and resilience in mayhem and misfortune? Worrying is dealing with tomorrow's problems on today's pasture. Now, more than ever, is a time for us to abolish anxiety, restore resilience, and turn adversities into advantages. Now is a time for grace, love, and exceptional leadership for our families and our friends. Now is a time to choose courage over comfort and commitment over compromise. Now is a time for action. And as John C. Maxwell said recently, action weakens fear and amplifies courage. You see, stress and pain can strengthen us. Suffering, however, is when we feel hopeless and helpless to manage the stress and pain in our lives. And when we feel hopeless and helpless, we fall apart and seek escape. There are two things that can happen when you face an obstacle of any kind: fall apart or bounce back. Resilience, often referred to as emotional fitness or mental toughness, is when you face adversity head on and grow from your experience. In other words, what you go through, you grow through. Singapore Strong is a comprehensive webinar workshop that identifies the essential skills that everyone that's listening right now, and will listen to this later, that everyone must possess to find fortitude in the face of fear and power over your problems. The main objectives of the program are to encourage and empower you to push for perspective with every problem and become the champion of change, because your adversities are your advantages. Singapore Strong features several speakers that openly share their personal stories and profound strategies to help you triumph over tough times. The common theme from all of us is that the best things in life are always on the other side of struggle. Your struggle today is your strength tomorrow. So even though the photo went out just the other day, and we had a quick change in the lineup with the order. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce our first speaker, which because of her having a premature baby, she needs to speak first and right away. And so let me tell you a little bit about Joanne. Joanne is a Singapore-based fitness entrepreneur and co-founder of X-Pro Fitness, Singapore's largest fitness conference, bringing together global influencers, world-class speakers, leading brands, and business to engage with industry exercise professionals. Joanne is also the director of Fitness SG, a nonprofit platform with a vision to create a supportive and collaborative network and creating new opportunities for the fitness industry and its professionals. As a former dancer, Joanne loves all styles of fitness, has a passion for the arts, and is a recently new proud mummy to baby Frankie. Now, let's go ahead and bring Joanne up to the stage. There she is. I'm gonna unmute her and spotlight her video. Without further ado, get ready to go on such an amazing journey with Joanne.
Hi everyone, good evening and good morning to those in the US. Firstly, on behalf of Edgar and myself at Fitness SG, thank you massively to Sergeant Ken. We know this, it takes a lot of your time to do completely selflessly, so thank you so much for this amazing initiative and for bringing this to us in Singapore. So yeah, just to start right in. So 2020 has been a tough year for Joanne. That's to say the least. I don't think I've actually left the house much apart from hospital visits since January. I haven't really done much for myself. So today I thought I'd share my story as to why. So for someone that everyone would describe as incredibly organized and very much a control freak, 2020 has put a spanner in that for me. When in February, at 28 weeks pregnant, at my job, I had a bit of backache and went to the hospital during my lunch break to only find myself in the delivery suite at KK Hospital being told that I was potentially going into early onset labor. At the hospital, I was quickly strapped up to machines, told that I wasn't allowed to leave the bed, and that I was having contractions, not backache. And for anyone that has had a baby, I'm sure you can appreciate that being strapped up to machines and told not to move whilst in contractions for 2 days is not fun. So yeah, I was pumped with drugs. I was kept there for 2 days and I completely was not in control. This was not part of my plan. This went on for 2 days and they were preparing me for early onset labor, at which point I remember holding my husband's hand and literally crying and saying, "What are we doing?" His response was, "I don't know." We just were winging it. We hadn't finished the book of the hypnobirthing course that my friend Emily had kindly lent me. We hadn't started our prenatal classes that were due to start the following weekend. And I remember my husband told me later that
All right, did we lose her? Did we lose her? Give me a thumbs up if she's in or out right now. Okay, all right. So, you know, that could happen. That could happen in any kind of Zoom situation. Our new normal right now, it's not normal at all, is it? I mean, you know, you might.
Sorry.
There you are. There you are. Carry on. Keep going, girl.
I don't know what happened there.
Just an internet
Yeah,
thing.
so I remember my husband later telling me, you know, how could my baby possibly be ready to arrive? Yet he did. 24 hours after the second dose of drugs that he needed to hopefully boost his lungs and give him a strong fighting chance, he was born on the 7th of February at 9:39 in the morning, just weighing over 1.4 kilos. And he was 3 months early. So after this, the next hours, days, weeks felt like a lifetime, and I wasn't allowed to hold him for the next week. I couldn't see him for over 24 hours, and I had to come home from the hospital the next day. My biggest struggle was with no bump and with no baby. I had to wake up every 2 to 3 hours to pump breast milk so I could give to him, which was exhausting. And yeah, during the uprise of the COVID-19 pandemic, hospital visits on a daily basis were also not something that we were looking forward to. And also with this being in a foreign country, our parents and family support weren't there. And that's something that to this day, you know, 3 months later, we're still desperately missing. So given all of this, I was faced, I had an opportunity. I thought, how can I cope with the next few months of this stress? So we were told he'd potentially be there for about 3 to 4 months in the hospital ICU. So I would visit every day as often as I could. Pretty much I was there day in, day out. I started my maternity leave early. My office was, however, close by to the hospital, literally one bus stop. So I did lean on the support of my team and my coworkers that I'm fortunate to have and enter that trip daily. Sometimes I would just think, how could I stay strong and stay present during all of these obstacles that I was facing? I'm a strong person. I wanted to be there for my husband and for my new son. And it just felt I was winging the entire thing. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. No one can prepare you for parenthood, and particularly not during these difficult times. So one day, actually about week 5, after Frankie had been graduated to the special care unit, one of the nurses saw me sitting there and she came up to me and asked if I'd ever read a book called The Secret. I'll share the link with Ken if any of you want to purchase it. And she shared with me that this book had been life-changing for her about the act of visualization. And she said that she shared this with lots of new mums that she saw that was struggling. And she told me that if I can visualize Frankie growing and eating him, feeding himself, having his tubes removed, getting bigger and stronger by the day, then that would happen. And so I took this on board. And another line from the book that really resonated with me was that how you react to what happens in your life dictates what happens next. And this kind of gave me a bit of purpose and a bit of hope that even though things that were happening were so out of my control, the one thing I did have control over was how I reacted to this and what I did. So moving forward, I tried to be the best version of myself, and a version of myself that my son would be proud of. Every day in the taxi on the way to the hospital, I would practice my visualization. If any of you have tried it, once you do it, it kind of becomes a powerful tool. I would literally sit in the taxi visualizing how much he would have drunk during the night from his bottles, how much weight he would have gained, what kind of hat he'd be wearing the next day, and just seeing him growing bigger and stronger. And that was a source of energy and strength for me as well. I would make sure I had little motivational chats with him. I would tell him that when we had big events coming up, no pressure, but today, if you want to just tell the guys how big and how strong and how clever you are at doing these tasks that are coming up, you've got this, like, we've got this. I'm here, no pressure at all, but if you can just try and do your best at this time, then I'm going to be so proud of you. I made sure that during our kangaroo care that we got to do daily, I would tell him how strong he was. I felt like how proud I was of him was something that would give him strength as well as me. I tried to focus on my work as well and things that were important to me. Expo Fitness had to go virtual during all of this due to the COVID-19. And within the last week, we now have 350 people signed up for that event, which is awesome. And I also just made sure that how I reacted to the day's events and every obstacle that came to me was in a calm way, and just kept visualizing that end game, which was Frankie coming home. It would appear that all of that did work, and it paid off when Frankie was discharged. He was discharged 5 weeks earlier than the norm that a lot of the doctors had told us, which is typically the baby's due date at 40 weeks. He came home at 35, and he's been home now for almost 7 weeks, and he's doing amazingly. He's a super fighter. Hopefully he gets that from me. And yeah, I'm just incredibly blessed to have him in my life. So from this draining experience that's still ongoing for us, COVID-19 has put us on lockdown for 2 months here in Singapore that you are all, I'm sure, desperately climbing the walls also. For me, I'd kind of been on lockdown for 2 months prior to that, with pretty much just hospital home. So I haven't really, as I say, been out the house since the 5th of February to do anything for myself. And it's getting a bit tough with the newborn, but some things that I've gained from this experience and that I try to practice daily now in my routine is to be patient, take things one step at a time, and don't get too caught up on the small little micro details. If things take longer than you had planned, or something puts you off track, then just adjust and really focus on the journey and what you can learn from it, even if it takes more time than you thought. Be grateful. I'm so grateful to have him home and to be safe. And those little things seem like huge things now. So I do take time to practice gratitude and really appreciate everything that I'm so blessed to have, even post all of this traumatic experience. Thirdly, to be present. It's difficult sometimes with all of the challenges thrown at us and the curveballs, but sometimes our lives get so full of stuff that's going on. Even during lockdown, I'm sure you appreciate the days just go, like stuff just happens. And for me, I've just thought that being present and making sure I appreciate all of those tiny little details is really important. And finally, be hopeful. As Sergeant Ken has, blessed us with this initiative, you've got to have faith. You've got to be hopeful, and you've really just got to persevere when times get tough. That's what I have done. That's, I hope that some of my positivity has blessed me with the outcome that we have now, which is my son home, me exhausted. And I'm now starting on the kind of newborn phase with 3 months of no sleep, but I'm very excited to start that journey in the next phase. And hopefully I'll get some sleep soon. So yeah, that's my story. These are my challenges, and I'm sure there are plenty more to come, but thank you for listening.
Wow. What a way to start the webinar. Oh, Joanne, you've got people chiming in here. Wow, what a great person and strong lady that you are. And yes, gratitude and patience is the key, and gratitude guarantees grace in life. Yes, patience and being grateful. Hope happens here. Hope happens here. That's exactly it. Folks, use that chat bar. We've got a new normal, obviously, you know. This is what it used to be. It used to be that we could have this interaction face to face, but now use that chat bar. Use it and build up some, help us too, because we used to feed off of those immediate reactions, seeing it in your eyes, hearing some of the things that you would laugh and cry and this and that. And so since we can't really sense that when we're speaking, go ahead and use that chat bar. Oh my goodness, Joanne, great way to start the conference. Okay, good. Well, let's get right on to the next speaker, Luke Tam. Luke. He calls himself a veducator. Oh man, I had to look up what this word actually meant. I love it. He's a coach, a veducator, a strong athlete. Boy, is he strong. He is also the co-host of the global online wellness event and Plant Fit Summit, also known as Plant Fit Movement. He specializes in helping clients to live a more evolved life by becoming a warrior strong in their mind, body, and spirit. He's passionate about championing individuals to live fully awake in their lives and aware of their inner truth, stepping into the warrior within and leading with authenticity, kindness, and expressing their unique value into the world. Boy, I'll tell you what, the people that came forward to support Edgar and his initiative and to support Singapore are just absolutely amazing. So I gotta find Luke. Where's Luke at over here? Wave, Luke, where you at? Okay, I see you, buddy. Okay, you're hiding behind my chat bar. So Luke, I'm so happy and thanks for being flexible too, because you know, I know that we had to change the lineup really on the last second. But Luke, please take the stage.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing, Joanne, and everyone for being here. I see that there are a few people in the US and lots of fellow Singaporean friends. So good evening and good morning to everyone. So I will just really jump straight into that particular night when the door just slammed in my face. And when the door slammed and I just looked around, I was in my own apartment. My ex-partner just left the house. And I was looking at my own four walls and I actually felt the mustiness of the room. It was dark, it was wet outside. And at that point in time, I just had a psychosis. I just flipped. So I couldn't find my partner. I decided to leave the room and I went to a car that was just driving on the side street. And I actually knocked on the car's window and the lady actually wound down the window and say, "What's up?" And I spoke to her and I just poured my heart out and said, "I'm going to kill myself." And she just looked me in the eye and was just like, "What the hell did he just say?" And subsequently, I ran over to the island of the road and I just stood there and I could see, almost feel, I was in a psychosis and I could see helicopters just circling around me and people were just looking at me in my mind saying that that's a guy, we want him dead. So after that, I actually ran to the supermarket trying to look for a knife and I couldn't find a knife. So I came out of the supermarket and I had this brilliant idea of trying to smash my head on the concrete floor. So I smashed it a few times and trying to crack my head open and I didn't really succeed. So I went around the side street and I saw a parked BMW there. So I was like, all right, here's the best idea that I can have for tonight. I smashed my head. I just ran my head through that side window once, twice, 3 times. I think it was the 4th or 5th time that I shattered the glass. And I just felt liberated at that point in time. And all of a sudden, I just felt shards of glass everywhere. And I just felt I succeeded. And subsequently, I didn't know what happened. The next thing I know, apparently the security guard came. There was a little bit of an altercation, and following, I just was just kind of slumped on the side street. And what happened was my friends actually found me lying in a pool of my own blood. So when I came to, I saw the paramedics patching me up and I was in the ambulance and they were just, and I thought I was in heaven because there was this paramedic that had this really cool little mustache. It's like, is that God? And I was just like, wow, this feels good. And all of a sudden, I started to come to what reality that I was in. So I started to come to, and I was just like, what the hell happened? I was just drenched in my own blood. So that was one instance. And to cut a long story short, life went on. And the next pivotal moment in my life was I went to a club. I was living vicariously. I was living a hedonistic lifestyle. I went to a club. I was partying with friends. And I got into trouble in this club for reasons I choose not to disclose. And the next thing I knew, I was handcuffed out of the club by a few cops to say, get out now. So the next thing I knew, I found myself at the back of the cop car, and it's like, and they were just abusing me. And I found myself in the four walls of a cell, and I spent one night in the cell. And I remember that was the longest night. That was the longest walk home. I just felt like there was lead in my boots that I was wearing, and I just was just trudging home. But at that point in time, I was thinking, what am I doing with my life? Why is this happening to me again? And the third and final pivotal moment that occurred was my ex-partner found out that I was cheating on her. And I cycled to her home. It was late in the evening and it was raining. I knocked on her door, opened the door, and all of my close friends actually opened the door and say, what the hell are you doing here? She doesn't want to see you. And I was like, I really want to speak to her. She doesn't want to see you. And she came down from the staircase. I saw her shadow, and she saw me. She's like, what the are you doing here? And they slammed the door shut. And it was at that point I actually felt my lowest. I was cycling home, and it felt like the longest cycle. And I was literally at rock bottom. I just felt like, who have I become? What have I done? And who am I? So that night I was tossing and turning, and I couldn't sleep. And finally I fell asleep. And the next morning I woke up. I remember this dream that was extremely vivid. And the dream was me chewing on my teeth, and my teeth were shattering like glass. And all I could taste in my mouth was just shards of glass and the metallic and the irony taste of blood. And immediately I went to the internet to look at what this dream meant. So I Googled that, and apparently this dream was quite common, and it signified change. It signified a pivotal change and almost an epiphany. So I was just like, at that moment, I was just like, wow, that is just really profound. It's whether you call it the universe, my subconscious was giving me a reason to choose a different path. So it was that very morning that I took a cycle down to Melbourne, which was where I was living in. I sat on the park bench. The sun was over on my left, and it was a crisp morning. I could hear the birds chirping and the tram bells just stinging. And it was at that very moment that I decided that I was going to rewrite my story. So that very moment was, I wasn't going to be the person that I was before. At that time, I was a personal trainer as well. And because I was faced with so much stress and so much guilt and shame, I decided I wanted to channel all this energy into something. And I competed in my first bodybuilding. I decided that I wanted to compete in my first bodybuilding competition. And I did. 9 months of prep. My coach and my mentor actually trained me up for the bodybuilding competition. And when I came to stage, I won the best poser and the best routine. And I also came second runner up. So that was insane. And that was around the same time I met my wife, Emily, whom some of you may know. So subsequently, about a year after that, I watched a documentary on animal cruelty. And I suddenly made the connection that all animals were equal. I was a victim of my cognitive dissonance for most of my life. I thought that dogs and cats, cows and pigs and chickens were all equal. And overnight, I turned vegan, and I decided that I did not want to contribute to animal cruelty anymore. At that point in time, I was thinking, how can I maximize my impact? How can I advocate change through who I was? So I decided to stand on stage again as a vegan bodybuilder. At the same time, I was training plant-based fitness models and bodybuilders for competition. So that was my way of advocating this lifestyle. And fast forward, I competed in the US, won a physique competition. I competed in Austin, Texas, and in CrossFit, tons and tons of strength events. And at the same time, I decided to pursue a path in entrepreneurship, wanting to maximize my impact, to spread this message of change. I published my first book during my journey through entrepreneurship. And at the same time, I met my co-host, Toby. And we're now 4 years now, we are now hosting the plant-based kind of online summit that has reached up to 90,000 people globally. And I'm just so stoked that I've met a lot of these inspirations, almost 100 from Olympic athletes to doctors to nutritionists who are advocating this same lifestyle. And moving forwards from being the co-host of the Plant Fit Summit, I decided that I wanted to master myself even more. So I decided to pursue a path as an Unbeatable Mind certified coach, learning under Coach Mark Devine, who's an ex-Navy SEAL commander. So I really resonate with the Navy SEAL ethos and philosophy about mental toughness, resiliency, emotional strength. And I'm now pursuing that path to becoming a fully certified coach that helps people transcend through physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, I would say, transformation. Because I believe that, as you shared earlier, Sergeant Ken, everybody at this day and age with COVID, with all that's happening right now, with the economic disparity, with the wars, we need to step up. We need, the COVID is just a catalyst for change. And I believe that if everybody steps up and lives awake, we can see a more positive, a more compassionate, a more connected, more a world for more of love rather than hate. And what does awake mean? As you shared earlier, this is my methodology to helping people transcend those plateaus, being aware of your inner truth, which I was, to step into the warrior within, because I believe all of us have a warrior sleeping inside, and to lead with authenticity and kindness and express your unique value into the world, because I think every one of us has a story, has a past, and has a story to tell. And I believe that all of us, by living that story, owning our truth, we can really master ourselves in service of others. So that's me living awake and hoping that everyone else will live awake as well.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I am without words. I didn't know how we were going to follow Joanne, and now this. You've got so many people touched. I know that you were just in flow, Luke, and I'm saving the chat, but the things that they're saying, it's breathtaking. And you're right. I mean, the best things in life are on the other side of struggle. And you really, it's why we don't always get what we want. We always get what we choose. You chose, rather than let this make you bitter, it made you better. You are an amazing person.
Indeed.
Blessed so much.
Thank you. Thank
to
you
be a part of your journey now. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's find the next speaker. Again, people, use that chat bar. Please communicate with Luke and Joanne and give them your support. Give them your, let them know how you feel, because, now that they're sort of kind of monitoring everyone else, Let them know how you touch their heart, because, if you ever want to win in life, use your heart, not your head. That's a fact. And so these people are being completely selfless and sharing with an immense amount of transparency about what's on their heart, so that you will go on this journey of impact and have a life change with them and go on that journey of joy together. Oh man, I am just completely moved. And Steve will tell you, because this is our fourth run, and we've been doing a lot behind the scenes. And Steve will tell you just how much has been going on. And so let me tell you about my buddy Steve.
It's been busy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I got to be transparent too, because Edgar knows this, and Steve really knows this, and my wife knows this, is that, we never knew that it would take really more than 50% of my workload, because, you're doing that work here and there. You're writing fitness, exercise education for certain companies that, I'm the director of programming for water rower rowing machines. And so, but it was swamping about 80% of our time. But the satisfaction of seeing your eyes in gallery view right now and seeing those chats, this is what the reason is we do what we do. People don't just want to look good, they want to feel good. So let me tell you about Steve. With over 22 years of industry experience, Steve is well known for programs internationally at universities, flagship hotels, celebrity trainer stints, and community associations. He's a former director, manager, lead instructor of a martial arts school chain, a career mentor, author of business and movement education courses at SCW, which stands for Sarah City Workouts. It's a big, huge chain of fitness conventions in the United States. And the director of peer mentoring onboarding at Boutique Fitness Academy. Steve has contributed to magazines, newspapers, live TV, podcasts, reality TV, online articles, and trade publications worldwide. A creator of global fitness brands. He's been a leader of wellness retreats, school programs, and camp programming for ages 5 all the way to ages 70. Steve is also the author of programming workshops and examinations, as well as a consultant and an advisory board member for other accredited brands, and my right-hand man in Project Hope to help other people endure. Steve, take the stage.
My man. Oh, I hope I can stand up to my own bio. It's just, hearing it's crazy. First of all, good evening, Asia and Singapore. Good afternoon to the Middle East and to Europe. And good morning to the Americas. I hope that these messages find you and your family well. I'm going to go slightly off book for 1 second. There are 2 things I want to say. The first is about preparation, which I will reference in my own presentation later. But for those of you who might want to do what we do, what you saw happen to Joanne before, and best laid plans, being calm in the storm. I wake up this morning, beautiful day, go see my 9-month-old, get the whole routine started. I go to check my setup before I get in the shower, as we all should, to make sure that our studio here is pristine and everything's working well. I go to flip the lights on. For some reason, because of overuse in the building, all the bulbs go out in a light that's directly over my head, so I'd be standing here in darkness. So there I am, naked, everything dangling, 7 in the morning, standing on a step stool, putting bulbs, 6 of them, into this setup, which I promise you I will take a picture of later and put into our Hope Project Hope Academy group on Facebook, so please join that group. But check your setups, people. Check your setups and be ready. Be ready for the unexpected. This new normal, as Sergeant Ken always says, is not normal at all. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to put something in the chat bar right now that I want to share with everybody. And let me see if there it is. Okay. For those of you who have children that are growing up during this COVID quarantine crisis, here's a resource of a bunch of picture books that have been made that are available for free on the internet to help you explain to your child why they're not seeing their friends, why they have to wash their hands all the time, why socialization is different for them right now. And it's a really, really nice list compiled by the New York Times of all the free resources that are out there for you today. So to Joanne, who's also raising an infant at home right now who will have to explain someday, and mine who's now socially aware but can't be reasoned with yet. That's something that I'm thinking about as well. What an amazing series of stories so far, I just have to say. I'm blessed to be a part of this, and we're going to dive right into progressing past panic and how that opens opportunities. We're going to learn to manage your mindset and your mission in your business through adversity. The first thing we have to do, and we just have to be honest with each other, is we got to share and celebrate our frailty, because honesty is the only way through, which is what the Hope movement is all about, what Project Hope Academy is about. The only way out is through, and it's through honesty and through sharing. We have to connect in this time, as Luke said. It's really important, and we have to express gratitude, as Joanne referenced, even when things are difficult. As a matter of fact, it's most important to be grateful when things are at their most difficult, is what I will say. That's my supposition. So, feel free in your mind to have silent or verbal participation. Even though you're muted, I can still watch your mouth move, of as was or as is my way, as we sort of bare our souls here. Just like services, that attitude is welcome here. And get ready for some hopeful and helpful, optimistic realism. The first thing I want you to think about are burned bridges and how they besiege the citadel. No roads in, no roads out. Resources and supplies can't arrive. Reinforcements can't be there. That will choke a city. As was my way when I was younger, I made decisions that burned a bridge or two. This is 20 years ago. Obviously, I've been at this for some time, as Sergeant Ken alluded to earlier. But remember that we're not alone. There are always bridges to be built, and perception is less important than support and survival. So my call to action right there is, who have you asked for help? Who and how have you asked for help? If you're waiting, stop waiting. Humankind is built on the word kind. Find the kindness and give it back. Give to get. That's what we're all doing here, right? Giving to get, giving CEs for free, giving our time for free, sharing our sad stories and our terrible tales for free and how we came through those, so that you can feel good about taking your steps through your muddy waters and difficult shores. So the force that I live on is empathy. Empathy, and then following empathy into compassion. Let me tell you my quick story that I find completely applicable to our situation, my personal firing and hiring that changed my life when I was in the fear cycle. And then we'll talk about the difference between fear and panic. My career was martial arts. And I say career, I mean that at 22 years old, I had already been in the martial arts business for 5 years, studying for much longer than that. I was running a school. I had 475 active students. We set monthly records in the country for how much income one school can make in that month. And I thought this was going to be my lifetime. I had a deal in place with my boss, who went on to create, at this point, one of the most successful martial arts franchises in the world, Speaks and Fitness Business Masterminds. And I was to be a co-owner of one of these facilities. And at the point in time in which I became frustrated with the process not taking place and me not making it to that point, to no fault of my own, when I expressed myself, the response was to quietly fire me on a Friday night, have me pack my things with my own office, all my stuff off the wall, to never see my students again, never see the children that I took to street fairs, did demonstrations with, had movie nights, overnight training sessions, posted report cards on the wall, went to school plays, did show and tells, kung fu birthday parties, all gone. Blink of an eye. So my whole life literally disappeared. To a 23-year-old who doesn't have his own family yet and isn't fully grown, and mentally or physically for that matter, this was incredibly jarring to me. So as was my way, my response to this type of trauma was to curl up in a ball, to hide my generally extroverted nature and drown it with sorrows and substances. My favorite combination back then, sorrows and substances. And so after 3 days of a haze, I woke up and said to myself, okay, all right, so what's next? What do I do now? Where does my life go? What's my purpose? And the next hiring off of that firing was at Reebok Sports Club. I went in for an interview. That interview was successful. 3 days later, I had a job at the most prestigious gym in New York City, one of the most prestigious fitness cities in the world, in a department of 70 people, of which in 6 months I became the second top earner and flirted with being #1 in the company after people had been training there for 10, 15, even 20 years. My tender 23-year-old mind certified just 2 years before with a specialty in martial arts. And I started learning about building a business. And then sequentially from there, my career has snowballed into being here with you today. So gratitude for the attitude of being able to move past the worst moment of my life and find my way into what became immediately the best moment of my life. So I am an example of it's always darkest before the dawn, career-wise. Personally, completely different story, and I'll save those stories for another time. So that was my reaction. As used to be my way. Now my way of dealing with trauma is very different, and dealing with difficulty is much more constructive and much more productive. So fear versus panic. I give them names. I like to personify. I want them to have personalities, and I hope you can picture them and their personalities in your mind. Frankie Fia, just like Rocky says, you know my friend Frankie Fia. He finds and fuels fighters, and he frames friendships. Fear is not negative. Fear makes you cautious. Fear can make you careful. Fear should not make decisions for you. Frankie Fear shouldn't speak for you. He should speak behind you and say, oh, be careful, I don't know, that might be a misstep. It's about considering your actions. Consideration is key. We got to look before we leap. But Pamela Panic, she's a problem because she propagates the pandemic and she paralyzes people. This is dangerous. You must refuse the effects of panic. We, our community, and facts about Corona itself and our lifestyle currently are your armor. Put your armor on, step up to the plate, and like Luke says, we all have to step up. Now's the time to step up and face things, as Christine Conti would say, we'll face it together. Now, if luck equals preparation plus opportunity, A plus B, how does this equation balance on both sides during quarantine? Where are your opportunities is what you might be asking yourself. Okay, referencing my sad story, where was my opportunity when my whole life was pulled out from under me professionally and personally? And I mean, my whole life was wrapped up into these students and these beautiful experiences. What do? Well, remember, you're not alone. Run the chain. You ask for help. You immediately use your contacts in your network and use the width, the entire width of all of the relationships that you have contributed to in a positive way. And you call on your neighbor and you call on your friend and you look for where those opportunities are first based on what you're awesome at. You ask for what you need, and then hopefully you can grant something that they need back as well, and it can be symbiotic and reciprocal. But you got to find a value proposition. You have to be able to give something back to the universe for this opportunity that you're asking for. How can you be helpful? How can you maximize your talents in this time? Temporarily accept the temporarily unacceptable. I'm going to say that again, and I want you to say it in your mind with me, or at least hear it. Close your eyes if you like. Temporarily accept the temporarily unacceptable. My hedge is that we all got into this business for similar reasons. Probably some percentages are different than others as far as what the direct motivations were or what drew us into the business. However, we all like being around people. We all like seeing and coaching movement, is my assumption. We all love interaction, one-on-one or 1-on-50 or 1-in-500, all of which I've had the pleasure of doing, all of which give a different type of feedback, all of which inspire a different type of connection. And currently, those things are only available virtually, but they are still available. I know it's hard to accept that we can't just go see our client or go visit our neighbor or go see our mother if they're in a certain demographic where it wouldn't be healthy to visit them and we would put them at risk. These are choices that we have to make currently. We don't have to like it, but we do have to understand it and accept it. And acceptance will help you to move to your next stages of decision making. Now, fortune favors the bold. So if fortune favors the bold, how do we harness our Xness, our X factor, our fortune in our lives. How do we maximize our capabilities? Here is an alphabetical guide. A stands for answer any call of service in your lane, whether it's free fundraisers that you're teaching for on someone else's Instagram Live or Facebook Live, or you're co-teaching with somebody else, or you are lending resources to another instructor or another trainer and teaching them how to do this well. All of those things, any opportunity you have right now to connect with the community in any time zone, any demographic. This is a wholly inconvenient time in New York. Welcome to the epicenter of the pandemic with an infant. To be doing this with you guys, you can't pass up the opportunity to be of service. You serve and then you get served. B, business is built during tragedy. You have two ways to win. It's either going to be a pool party with a cannonball or a mountain hike. So we're discussing in a business reference, you might have heard the analogy silver bullets versus lead bullets. And it's really cool to have a silver bullet every once in a while to kill the werewolf, sure. But lead bullets flood the field. And that's about taking those long, slow strides up the mountainside in order to get where you want. Don't expect immediate gratification. It's impossible to just take tragedy and turn it into triumph overnight. It's rare. It's not impossible, but it's rare. Silver bullets do come, but depend on lead first. Collaborate, not compete. That's your C. Think of a trade show. All these fitness professionals and all these brands lined up, vying for your personal attention, trying to sell you their product, trying to sell you their program. I've been one of them. So I totally get it. I've been there and done that and been successful in it. But now's not the time to me, I, scream live all day and compete with your brothers and sisters in the trade. Now's the time to find ways to collaborate and be on the same team. So as Sergeant Ken said, be collaborative. It's important right now. It's what we're doing. D is define your X factor. So what makes you particularly awesome in your mind and on paper? What is your specialty? What separates you from the other people who do? Your competitors, your collaborators, remember. But what sets you apart? Or what lifts you up? What gives you that specific little edge, that special high when you do what you do? Whatever that is, you got to define that. That's your X factor, your Xness, and that is how you'll truly reach your tribe. And in a place and time where there's noise online, you have to be the one that can define. That's important. And then E is for make your efforts long term. Make your new business, if you're changing your mission a little bit, because it's worth making. It's your new baby. Care for it. Nurture it. Band-Aids do not grow bone. And we are in a skeletal healing phase as a world, as a people, as humankind right now. So plan on a long-term commitment to whatever business idea you have once you have defined your X factor, once you've decided the path up the mountain for your business, or the massive cannonball splash into the deep end. If you're going to do it, do it. Go all the way in on it. That's important. F in the Yoda voice, because I'm a Star Wars kid and I believe in light versus dark and the balance in the universe, yin and yang. Fear you must not. Your own 360-degree personal and professional assessment. This is key. People, be honest with yourself. What are you doing really well? And where are your struggle points and your pain points? That's how you'll progress past pandemic and past panic, by finding your opportunities, by blocking your opportunities when really looking into the mirror. Look at the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson says. Remember that hope is a function of heroics, opportunities, perseverance, and evolution, in that order. I'll say that again. It's heroics, opportunities, perseverance, and evolution. So embrace parts of the new normal, allowing evolution in the deep of planet Earth to provide an example. And this is what I close with. I want you to think of the organisms that live by the Earth's core that have never had the benefit of either oxygen or sunlight. Neither exist. Yet primordially, for 1 billion years, these creatures have evolved to live in complete cold or complete darkness, absolute darkness, or central heat right by the core. And they have adjusted to fit that norm. And we can do the same. We're just going to have to do it emotionally, and we have to do it a little faster than we'd like at this point. Please call on me personally in any way that you need. Find us in our Facebook group at Project Hope Academy and helping everyone endure. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I wish you and your families well.
Woo, man, oh man. You know, when we started Project Hope to help other people endure, you know, my wife and I, we knew we couldn't do it alone. And as Steve said, I told him one day, I brought him into the conversation. Steve, I'm just thinking about doing this. You know, would you do it? And he says, yeah, no problem. And because having a team at my side doesn't compete with me, it completes me. I say again, having a team at my side doesn't compete with me, it completes me. Bring it home, Steve. Oh my goodness. Let's introduce speaker number 4, Glenn. Glenn is a 2-time personal trainer of the year in Asia, a master trainer and educator for PowerPlate, Gray Institute, and Pro Bar Mobility, and founder, director of Raw Personal Training Studio. His passion in health coaching and blending sports science and the art of coaching that has helped people to improve their performance and move painlessly. Glenn has a high distinction in his bachelor's degree in sport and exercise science. As an educator in the fitness and performance industries, he has conducted workshops for global health club chains such as Fitness First Singapore, Fitness First Malaysia, and Virgin Active Singapore, and fitness conventions like FitCon Manila in 2018. I could go on for days. I'll tell you what, it's an impressive resume. Everyone has been so incredible so far. And I have no doubt in my mind. So let's go ahead and find where Glenn is at. Glenn, wave at me so I can see where you are. There you are, buddy. Okay, so spotlight you and unmute you. So Glenn, I want you to take the stage. Go ahead, Glenn. Are you muted?
Okay.
There you go, buddy. Good.
So I'm very honored to have so many people over here to listen to us. I take this opportunity to thank Sergeant Ken and Edgar for inviting me. It's such a pleasure. So what I'm sharing is not just my personal story, because I really hope this story resonates with you personally. It's more about all the listener over here. It's not about me, it's about you. Okay, so just want to ask a question first. Do you remember the last time, the most recent family reunion dinner or family gathering that you have? So back in 1993, in a family reunion dinner that I have, my late grandmother asked my mom, "Is Chunchi all right?" Like, I haven't seen him speaking to anyone at all. And right now he's 9 years old. Yeah, Chunji is my Chinese name. Okay. So that boy is referring to me. I have a very severe speech delay. They only start to speak when I was like 10 years old. So I have suspected to have a high functioning autism. It's a mild spectrum of autism. So I think most of you may know there's an issue about communication. We don't really can't really like recognize, are you happy or not, that kind of stuff. And of course, we have an issue in expressing ourselves. So in that, it created a lot of awkward moment for me in terms of interaction or social interaction. So when I was young, I was quite a lonely boy. I don't really have friends. So when I was young, I was a rascal. I always fight. I always choose boys who are older than me, bigger than me. I always initiate the fight, but I always lose the fight. I don't know why, but I think I want to release my frustration. So I initiate the fight, lose the fight, and go to principal for punishment. So the principal office is where I usually go when I was young. So back then, in the 90s, we still use caning. So we cane our hand, we cane our butt. I don't know about now. But then, because of this turning point, it changes me. This first changing point, the turning point in my life. Right in Singapore, we call it CCA. Back then, we call it, in US, we call it non-academic activity. So we have this thing called the NCC, the National Cadet Corps. So you have a Boy Scout, we have a Boy Soldier. So we choose that during my high school times. And because of him, his name is Leonard. He approached me and said, hey, since we're going to be stuck together in this team for 4 years, why not talk to us? And that instantly opened me up to have more friends. From zero to many. And that inspired me to work on fitness, because I want to be fit with them. I want to be as fit as them so we can mingle. So through that, friends and fitness is part of my life. So because of the passion of fitness, fast forward to 2009, I started to work as a personal trainer in a mega chain gym. When you're young, sometimes you have issues. Sometimes we get a little bit cocky, you know, like, because if you're going for like theory exam and you're one of the top scholar, to me, I get my ego, my ego is getting bigger, but my ego explodes when I get to be a top personal trainer within 9 months into the business. Yeah, it's like, wow, this is a highlight. I'm damn good. It's feeling like this is the king of the world. I'm king of the world. Tall as a mountain. But I think you can expect that things start to fall apart. Realize that I'm losing client. But most importantly, I realize I don't really have a good working relationship with my colleagues. That one event, when we was in the locker room, we had that paper paste on the mirror, a threat letter on me, a personal attack on me. I realized, wow, what did I do wrong? And it's one of the lowest point when I've feeling back to the lonely time that I am. I feel so lonely. I feel so isolated. I'm like, what's wrong with me? It took about a week or so, then I came to talk to one of my colleagues. He's also one of my role models. His name is Alfred. And before I can like talk to him, do you have that feeling that it's so hard to speak it out? You want to say something when you have a lot of let's say ego, you're good, but then you have a mistake. You don't really want to admit a mistake. That was a moment I tried to share with him. I almost break down, but I try to control. You know, as a guy, you will have a good image. But inside, I'm breaking down. I'm like, oh my God, why is it so hard to ask for help? So open my mouth and ask, how can I be a better personal trainer? How can I be a better personal trainer? But through him, I learned that being personal trainer is not just about here. It's not just about the brain. It's just about the heart, connections, EQ. And I mean, based on the condition I have, EQ is not the best subject I can have. So I really need to have a lot of effort. So learning from them, I need to observe your body language. Of course, as a trainer, you need to look at their movement, their body language, ask questions, active listening. To me, it takes me about 200 or 300% effort to do the same thing as you guys do. So it's always a mental challenge. If you ever see me training my client, at the end of the day, I'm very exhausted because I give up all my mental energy on the client itself. But I am grateful. I am certainly grateful because of these people in my life that I have success to be, as I mentioned, personal trainer of the year, educator. It's not because of what I did. It's because of they being the guide of my life. I know it's very hard to visualize a brighter future. It's pretty hard because you're in the valley. You can't really see what's up there. But what, like Bruce Lee said, I always going back to this phrase when I have difficult time. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure the difficult ones. Certainly, we can't do this alone. We need to help each other in these difficult times. So in closing, I'm sharing you with 4 life-changing strategies that I learned from my challenge in my life. Yeah, I'm being known as a person with a lot of struggle in my life. But I think these 4 letters, hope, such important words. Thank you, Sergeant Ken. Hope is what we really need at this present time of crisis. H, humility. Always aim to serve and help each other. We have a story in our life. We are the hero in our story. We have an obstacle. In every movie you see, it's not the hero who helped. It's not the hero who have the ability. He have all the ability. He just need one person, the third person, the guide. I would like you guys to be the guide for others. Be the guide for the other heroes in their story. Please ask this question to your friend or colleague that you know, or who you sense they have difficult times. How can I help? How can I help? Oh, opportunity. There is always opportunity, in good times or bad times. Winston Churchill said, never let a good crisis go to waste. In a crazy time, World War II, he said that, because there's always opportunity. You can upgrade your business. You can seek for social media to let your business be known. Or you can focus on personal growth. P, perseverance. Like the human bone. When you fracture the bone and it grows back, it's stronger. Perseverance to build resilience. Remember, the pain is temporary. But once you go over the pain, you already excel. You're not, you go through this pain, you're better than the old self now. And E, excellence. Excel in your strength. Work on your strength. Build your fortress. And get ready for your breakthrough. And thank you for listening. My personal story, but I am more interested to listen to your story. And you can just PM me and we can have a chat or can Zoom call that, because I feel that we need connection, we need connections and support to each other. If you wish to share, I will be here to listen. And all of us will grow together. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my goodness. It's amazing, amazing. And I love what you said too, because you're right, Glenn. We're all in the middle of pain right now. We're all in the middle of pain, and it could shape us into something better than we were before, right? And so, Eric Thomas, he was doing a workshop a few years back, and he said, pain is temporary. It might last for a minute. It might last for a day, a week, a month, a year. Eventually, pain goes away, but giving up is forever. And your stories and strategies are another great example of resilience. And I'm reminded of the quote, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have." I say again, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Speaker number 5. While he might have the smallest bio that he provided me, what he has is one of the biggest hearts I've ever met in my entire life. And he's been a friend of mine for several years now, brought together by Egder and his ability to see vision and strength in others. Arun is a stage 3 cancer survivor. He's also a primary school PE teacher, certified personal trainer, and a level 2 senior instructor with Sergeant Ken's boot camp. I'll tell you what, this guy's story is just going to put you in a complete new perspective like never before, like he has for me and what he continues to do. I'm not going to steal his thunder because what Arun has done for me is he's helped me see just the darkest things in life that fear us the most. He has actually flipped it, and he's become such an incredible soldier for connection and affection. So without further ado, Arun, take the stage.
Thank you, Sergeant Ken. Thank you, Edgar, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to speak today with all of you. Hello, everyone. As Sergeant Ken just mentioned, I'm a stage 3 colorectal cancer survivor, 4th year in my remission. I just got the good news 2 days ago. And many more years, I hope. 4th year in my remission of my cancer survival. Yeah. I'm glad to see all of you here. It's an honor to be with all of you. Only the best in any field will make the time and effort to be here with me in this special occasion. You guys are the best. I like to start my speech with a quote from Charles Darwin. I quote, "In life, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive, but those who best manage change. And this change can only come about with the will do, can do, positive mindset." This is what so far all my previous 5 speakers have exhibited. This is what the positive mindset that who make the difference between a warrior and a warrior. A warrior is someone who is resistant to change. He fights himself. A warrior is someone who is receptive to change, and he fights a problem. If a warrior loses, he gives up. He gives excuses and does absolutely nothing. However, if a warrior gives up, if a warrior loses a fight, he comes back with a vengeance to stand back and fight, and he will have a plan in mind. All the previous speakers, in my opinion, are definitely warriors with plans in mind, and that's how they overcome their warrior mentality. I like to pause here for a while. I like to know from the audience over here, at this moment, how many of you have the warrior mentality? How many of you at the moment having the warrior mentality? It's okay. I hope you don't mind sharing. Just put it in the chat box over there. I hope after all this presentation, including mine, we hope the warriors will become the future warriors. I'm seeing the response here so far. Great to know. Yes, it's okay. All our warriors, at times we can be a warrior too. As all my distinguished speakers were speaking just now, I was definitely, for a few moments, having the warrior mentality. All of them have excellent bios. A lot of them have, I think, more eventful and more impactful challenges they have went through. I told myself, should I just shut off the computer and walk away and tell Ken that I have a power output breakdown? That, for a moment, I let it creep over my mind. But then I recover and came back with a warrior mentality, with a plan. I say, no, I should go ahead with this. In my battle with cancer so far, I chose to fight on and show this warrior mentality instead of being a warrior. As part of my first treatment, I had to undergo 28 sessions of intense radiation therapy. I had to endure extreme and excruciating pain of all places in my anus. Ouch. When moving my bowels, when I had the urge to move my bowels, it felt as if 1,000 needles and nails were probing and pushing through my anus. Can you imagine how painful it was? I know a few weeks ago, Steve told us, in order to connect with the audience, you need to tell your personal story. I hope this one moment, I have connected with all of you all with my pain. Sorry for the graphic details. This was the time I really understood the literal true meaning of pain in the ass. Before I got my cancer, my wife always tell me, you're such a pain in the ass. You're such an asshole. Only after going through these pains, I realized, oh my God, indeed I've been an asshole, and now I deserve this pain in my ass. The pain was so unbearable that I dreaded going to the toilet. Believe me, I stopped eating for a while because I had this fear and worry in me. The pain was horrific. And around this time, I came across Sergeant Ken's Push for Power push-up challenge. Can you recall that, Sergeant? I think it was somewhere around late January 2016. Knowing that doing nothing will generate more fears and more worries, I get down into action. I started to do my push-up religiously. I embraced the pain and use it to power myself to do 11,000 push-ups and emerge third place overall among all the 147 participants, all the way from USA, Canada, and Asia. Well, it might be a small feat for some people, but to me, that success helped to establish that my confidence. It let me know that I can do what I want to do if I set my mind to it. That is why I'm proudly wearing this t-shirt. This is my mantra. I stand tall, unbreakable, unbeatable, defiant in my hope to achieve something better. For myself, I'll never compare myself with others. I will never be able to be where other people are. But I challenge myself always. Barely 1 month after my radiation, I went through a major surgery to remove the whatever remnant tumor I had and my entire rectum as well. Sorry, today my story is going to be all about ass, rectum, and anus. It's not the top part of the brain, but the bottom part. I was also filled with a stoma bag at my abdomen. The stoma bag was actually a temporary poop bag. Think of it as a vacuum bag. When you have to clear, you have to clear. Because after the operation, my anus was shut tight. It was a temporary measure. I also had to undergo 5 more cycles of chemotherapy. And after 8 months, I had to go through a stoma reversal surgery as well. Can you imagine, within a span of a year, I have to go through this entire range of unbelievable procedures, which actually took a heavy toll on me emotionally and physically. I felt very hollow in me. I felt very haunted. I felt defeated and deflated. This was the lowest point of my life. At a point of time, I was 51 years old. 51 years, and that was my lowest point. This was the time I turned to God and renewed my faith. This gave me strength and a clarity of mind to rest, recuperate, and recover. By allowing myself to take a step back, to move forward, I came back stronger. I say this again. I allow myself to take a step back and then to move forward, to come back stronger. Sometime in life, I believe, you just can't go on and on and on. You need to take a break, recalibrate your mind, adapt to the situation, upgrade your beliefs, and navigate through the obstacles. Like what Sergeant Ken have mentioned a couple of times. You go through and grow through your obstacles. I think I'm living through that example, Sarge. I was so inspired that I was doing well after doing so bad. I decided to take part in the Singapore Senior Manhunt Fitness Competition in mid-2017. I had nothing to prove. I just wanted a platform to create the colorectal awareness among the public and wanted to tell them, don't make the same mistake that I did. I didn't go for the screening when I was 50 years old. I was very cocky, egotistical, and I thought, I'm so fit, I will never get cancer. I was leading a healthy lifestyle. I didn't want this to happen to anyone. So I thought this was the best platform for me to showcase and promote cancer awareness. Surprisingly, I make it to the finals. I was one of the top 10 finalists, comparing myself to the younger competitors. Though it was a senior category, most of them were in their 30s and 40s. I was the only one who was 51 years old, the oldest contestant, and came into the top 10 finals. And that boosted my self-confidence, and I moved on to take part at the end of the year in the Singapore Standard Chartered Marathon. I ran the entire 42 kilometers in empty stomach. Remember, I don't have a rectum. Since till then until now, I'm still having difficulties and fighting my battles against all my pronounced side effects of cancer journey. Living without a rectum has affected my quality of life. There are my good days and my bad days. I think at this moment, today is my good day. I'm still hanging on. You didn't see me disappear. I'm always near to the toilet. That's my main office. I have to deal with frequent bowel movements. Everything I do, exercise, social outings, prayers, work, entirely revolves around my toilet movements. Unpredictability is my new normal. I'm also suffering from chemo brain syndrome. I still have difficulty remembering facts, things, finding the right word, processing information, and always take a longer time to complete my task. Case in point, I took almost 7 to 8 days to prepare for my speech today. I keep on practicing, I keep on repeating and trying to memorize and contain all the information until my wife got sick and tired. What's up with you? It's only a 10-minute speech and you're taking the whole year to prepare. Well, she also said that don't give excuses. It's not your chemo brain. I think you're getting old. But moving forward, in order to overcome my side effects, I'm not doing nothing. I'm keeping myself active till the very day now. I have been taking drum lessons. If you're wondering why drums, it helped me to improve my concentration. It helped me to improve on my multitasking skills. Left hand, right leg, left leg, reading the notes, all have to be processing at the same time. And he has been helping me a lot. That's why I'm able to stand here today and talk to you confidently. I'm also attending my local Toastmaster club meetings and activities. These actually help me to improve my memory and help me to find the right words to talk better. Again, this has given me the confidence to stand before you guys and talk. Like what Sergeant Ken and Steve have mentioned, this is a new normal. I actually find it easier to talk among real live audience. Talking in the Zoom virtual world is entirely different. I don't have PowerPoints. I can't make eye contact and get people to respond. So I have to adapt myself to the new normal. Well, guys, my call for action today is don't fear fear. Let fear fear you. I repeat this again. This is my own mantra. I came up with this. Don't fear fear. Let fear fear you. That is how I overcame my cancer. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's face the new normal with courage to change. Let's be a warrior, not a warrior. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I still remember that day. Like you said, I don't know, back in 2016 when we were doing the international version of the 14-day push-up challenge. You know, I've been doing it in North America quite often. And I said, you know, I had just come back from working with Egder C's group at, you know, Fitness SG and doing a lot of things for also the Singapore government. I remember saying, yeah, well, let's bring everyone together, you know, and see, and just do, you know, as many push-ups as we can do every single day in 14 days. And I remember getting your WhatsApp message and you said, you know, Ken, I want to tell you what I'm going through right now. And you were right in the middle of being in the foxhole. You were right there in the fog of war. And you were going to do all these things during chemotherapy treatments. And I went, this is crazy, just crazy. You know, I said, I can't give you advice as a physician, you know, but, you know, just, you know your body better than anyone. And when I started to get, you know, because I did my motivational messages every single day to kind of keep people going in the challenge, because we had over 500 people representing 30 countries in that challenge, if you recall. And I remember getting some people saying, oh, it's tough to kind of fit it in, da, da, da. And I said, oh, really? You think it's tough? Let me tell you a story. And I tell your story about you going through chemotherapy, being in the middle of stage 4 cancer, and then getting 3rd place in the world for 11,000 push-ups in 14 days. That ought to be the poster for no excuses. Wow. Just wow.
Can I interrupt you for a while here?
Oh, please, please. It's supposed to be interactive.
Just as much as you tell my story to motivate others, I've been telling your story, the push-up for power, to tell others through your help, through your help, I actually standing alive here today, because that was the foundation of my resilience mindset. That was the foundation for me to break away from the fixed mindset, to move forward, to have the growth mindset. Like what you say, at the time I was not strong. I added the word yet. I told myself I'm not strong yet, but I will move on. Every single time I share my story with the cancer support caregivers, survivors, and patients, I tell them this: never give up, believe in yourself. I own my life for that push-up challenge. Thank you so much, Sergeant Ken. All yours.
Oh, thank you so much. You're amazing. Boom, fist bump. Everyone on this, everyone that's listening in right now, give a virtual fist bump right now to Arun and to everyone else, because wow, what a journey that we're going on together. This is absolutely amazing. I can't thank you enough for your transparency, Arun, and being a warrior and not a worrier. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is just amazing. The North American team is really going to have to step up their game with everything. And, they are doing great, but it's just a sort of a kidding comment that they're going to have to step up their game because Team 4 right here is laying down the foundation to help you flourish in life. Oh my goodness. Look at where we're going. We're lifting each other up. And all boats rise together on high tide. We will bounce back better. So let me kind of add my 2 cents on how you can create connection in a crisis. Well, number 1, embrace empathy. No one wants your sympathy. And you got to know the difference between pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Pity is, I recognize your pain. Sympathy, I care about your pain. Empathy, I feel your pain. And then sometimes, when permitted, compassion. I want to relieve you of your pain. Bottom line is this: relationships are supported and strengthened by sharing emotions, which is empathy, and when possible and probable, helping to produce progress over pain, and that's compassion. Number 2, push for perspective. Issues become problems when you fail to accept them. And I know that 2 of the speakers were talking about this a great deal as the highlights to what they are doing to bounce back better. So issues become problems when you fail to accept them, or when you refuse to acknowledge that you are not perfect and that some situations are beyond your control. So the 3 steps that I believe that to help you produce progress over problems. Number 1, acknowledge. Acknowledge the problem for what it is. Number 2, accept. Accept the problem as something that you can either repair or have resolve that's beyond your control. And number 3, address. Address the problem with action. Number 3 on the 7 steps to create connection during the COVID crisis. Number 3 is cultivate confidence. Build bold and beautiful body language. Proper posture and a t-shirt like Arun's will help your body to function better. When you stand with proper posture, and you're allowing your body to do what it needs to do, the organs to function better. So, and you're also telling the world around you that, you live with strength and stamina. We're homeschooling my son right now, my 10-year-old son, because of the virus crisis. And, I see him sitting there sometimes in front of the computer doing his homework, and I see that, that typical slouch that we're seeing right now in the younger kids more than ever, or anyone that's really stuck to a monitor of some kind. And I'm just saying, dude, is this how you want to be remembered? As the person of a lack of confidence, simply because you're training your body to be in excessive thoracic kyphosis or tech neck, or that hunch right there in that middle part of the spine. It is not the way to show other people about the true you that you are. Number 4, have humility. A crisis can provide you the opportunity to share the real you more than ever, like all of the speakers just did. Your family and friends will love your acts of transparency. It makes you more approachable and profound. And as a sidebar to that, You know, a lot of times when I'm doing some sort of workshops online and I'm doing, obviously sometimes you put out that polished piece, but what I've been doing is a lot like the movies. I kind of do the post-credit scenes where there's some bloopers and stuff like that. And the bloopers are great. They get more of the real you, because it's in our days of recognizing imperfection that we really see how perfect the world is around us. Number 5, create a climate of consistency. Folks, wake up every single day at the same time, no matter what that is, because I don't know your circadian rhythm, your sleep patterns. Wake up every single day like a child on Christmas morning. All right? Or a child on his or her birthday, because you ever seen a kid wake up during one of those holidays and try and hit the snooze button? No, absolutely not. The kid's going, there's presents downstairs, and that's what you want. You need to wake up every single day with a zest about you. And as I've said in my Mastering the Game of Growth workshop that I did recently for a Canadian conference, in Mastering the Game of Growth, I talked about that you should spend at least 1 hour of professional and personal development first thing every single day. And that includes all the dimensions of fitness: physical, emotional, social, spiritual, like Arun saying, praying and really getting connectedness. Okay. So you've got to do that. So folks, at least 1 hour first thing every single day with professional development. And I'm reminded of what this U.S. Navy SEAL Admiral William McRaven shared his views during the speech that he had for the University of Texas commencement address to the graduates. He says, every morning in basic SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, because this was years ago, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they would inspect was your bed. And if you didn't have it right, and the corners would have to be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow center just under the headboard, and in the blanket folded neatly at the foot of your rack, which is your bed. And that's Navy talk for bed. So it was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, Navy SEALs, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of the simple act has been proven to me more in time over and over and over again, that if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It'll give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. And making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things matter in life, like the speakers have been saying, little small victories. And if you can't do the little things right, how will you ever do the big things right? And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made by you, and then making that bed encourages you that tomorrow will be better. If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. Number 6, restore resilience. What you put in your eyes and in your ears makes an imprint on your very soul. It'll either lift you up or it'll tear you down. That's an ancient Chinese proverb. And so you need to get what I call a daily dose of positive mental nutrition. We talk about this in all my life coaching groups and in the boot camp instructor certification course, where I say, look, every single day, what are you going to do? Now, I already told you to start your day with, professional and personal development, but what does that even mean? So I got to ask you this. What is the last book that you read? Write it down in the chat bar right now. What is the last book that you read? Oh, that's an eye-opener. I see a lot of you going, I got to think about that. Because according to the University of Pennsylvania School of Positive Psychology, they did some research before they created the Resilience Training Program. And what they discovered is that 97% of the people that they polled in North America, 97% will never read another full book after high school. That means only 3% of the North Americans that they polled will read another full book after high school. What you put in your eyes and in your ears has an imprint on your very soul. Oh, I love the books that are coming in here. Oh man, just, keep them coming, because we're going to save this chat, and we want people to benefit from our shared experiences. So start your day with a daily dose of positive mental nutrition. And if you want more inspiration, come to our Project Hope Facebook page that we just started recently. It's a private, intimate group that's growing exponentially, but we're really trying to just make certain that it's not a place for, solicitation of, personal and professional stuff, but that we're just trying to use it as our sounding board, our forum of places to, add more of our own take and our own perspective of hope and inspiration. Because resilience means to challenge your limits instead of limiting your challenges. And number 7, and finally, out of the 7 superior strategies to create connection during a crisis, champion change. Are you living by results or reasons why you won't dive into your dreams? A crisis is the perfect time to emerge as something better than before. There are 3 simple steps to surface stronger when the storm subsides. Number 1, dream. Dream. Isn't it a shame that it sometimes takes a crisis to remind us how to dream again, like when we were children? Number 2, develop. This means that you will have to take some risks in order to grow personally and professionally. There are no rewards without risks. Number 3, deliver. This means that you will need to put action behind your aim and create your new career with what you have already. Remember, the reason why many people won't become who they want is because they're too attached to who they have been. So my call to action as being the final speaker before we take it to a Q&A session, and then please put it right there in the chat bar so we can start to work with who wants to have a question answered by one or more of the speakers that are on this panel. It's supposed to be interactive, and we're about to get into that Q&A session. So my call to action as being the final speaker on today's lineup is: now is a time for action and growth. Now is a time to make your love for learning greater than your fear of failure. A growth-focused life is not what we get from it, but what we become by it. Now is a time for faith. To have faith is to believe in not what you are to become. It is to believe in what you are already. I hear someone is already unmuted, so, if you see that, go look at the bottom of your square right there. Someone is making a lot of noise, so go ahead and mute yourself, unless you've got something that you've got to share with somebody right now. So let's go ahead and let's see what we got. Has anyone got something that they really need to say? Hey, I've got to say it on my heart right now. Please raise your hand. Let me get to you. And if it's specifically for one of the speakers, go ahead and address them directly. But Steve, I saw Steve raise his hand first. So Steve, take the stage.
It's just that something organically happened here that I need to follow up on. We all need to have a record of. I know that we're recording this, so I want everybody to do me a favor. The people who are non-video participants, I invite you to consider for just a moment turning on your video if you're comfortable. But everybody else, do me a favor, and let's do the first worldwide international fist bump all at the same time. I'm going to put on gallery mode. I'm going to turn my camera on because this was just such a sick visual. Ready? For Arun, 1, 2, and 3. Everybody put your fists in the camera, please. Hold on, I got to switch gallery mode. Don't move, don't move, don't move. Everybody fists up. Fists up for hope, fists up for opportunity, fists up for supporting each other, fists up for the fight. Thank you so much. I had to have that. I'm going to mute myself now. I didn't mean to steal the stage, but that was just so important to me that we saw that, because what a beautiful thing. We might be the first. We literally might be the first international fist bump that's ever taken place virtually.
Thank you, Steve. Awesome. All right, raise your hand if you've got to address something right now that's just resonating on your heart, that one of the speakers moved you in such a way and you need some more clarity about it all, and so that we can address it. Because and you don't have to address right now, but you know, because some of these questions might be answered directly, because as Glenn said, he says that, you know, this doesn't mark the end, it marks the beginning of that, because people are starving for affection and they're craving connection. And so he opened up his door like all the other speakers did, saying that, please come to me. I want to talk to you. I want to have a moment of empathy in my life by feeling what you feel. So raise your hand if you're in right now. All right, Arun, I'll go ahead. Let me go ahead and spotlight you and unmute you. Did you unmute yourself? You're good. Can I hear you?
Yes, with all these positivities that's going on, I just wanted to share one quote from Winston Churchill. I think it's very apt. This is the quote: "Success is not final.
Mhm.
Failure is not fatal.
Mhm.
It is the courage to continue that counts." I think that is exactly what we are going through now. Thank you.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. Folks, as you're putting things in the chat bar and we're coming to a quick close of this, I want to just do some more housekeeping announcements. That's what I got to do, is playing the host. You know, we don't really have these crazy titles for Project Hope in all the speakers who are, you know, we're either a speaker, we're a supporter, and I just call myself the host, and which means that I want to make certain that we're all in the same sheet of music about moving forward. Use these materials. Let the stories touch your heart and create the revelation so that you will have resilience for the Renaissance, the revival. Steve, write that down. I just made that up. All right, so, woo! Okay, so this Tuesday on the 19th, it's going to be in the evening for us, probably next morning for you. Our North American team, which is made out of Canadians and people from the USA, they're leading the next Project Hope webinar, Resilient and Ready, okay? And I know Edgar is, I'm going to go ahead and put him on the spot now. Edgar, let's get a date for another run at this. You know, you determine how long from now you want to let it rest, okay? And let us soak in these wonderful stories and strategies. But I think that we could all benefit from your speakers again. And, you know, and think about, you know, in other parts of your team, because you're changing the world one Zoom call at a time. And so the 19th, though, we have Team North America, and I'll post the times, the show times at 6 p.m. for me in Nashville, Tennessee, 7 p.m. in New York. So it's going to be the next morning for you, right? So so I'll post that on our Facebook group. If you are the American Council on Exercise certified or CanFit Pro, Canadian Fitness Professional certified, this free webinar workshop is continuing education credit approved, CEC approved by ACE and CanFit Pro. Now, if you're not ACE or CanFit Pro, you can probably petition, to, you know, based off of that accreditation. But if you want one of those certificates of completion for today, you simply send me a direct message and give us 48 hours to respond, and we will make certain that you have that. And even if you're not CEC approved, it might be something great to say that, you know, I went on this journey toward healing and happiness with the help of a whole lot of people that focus on hope. And hope, as my wife says, she says all the time, hold on, pain ends. And so I see a lot of people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for all these speakers to make certain that they show that beam of light. And Edgar, I am going to spotlight you, brother. I'm putting you on the spot, and I'm going to unmute you. I got to say, brother, you know, you are an amazing soul, and you're so gifted. I see a lot of people saying thank you. So please take a moment to close it for us. Hold on, buddy. You're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Good. Okay. Sorry. On behalf, thank you, Brother Ken. Thank you very much. Never enough to thank you. On behalf of the local fitness community, I really wish to thank you. And then also thank you to all the 5 speakers. So amazing. Well, I heard the local speaker before. I mean, in some of the sessions, and that's why I dare to approach them and say, guys, you guys need to share this story, because during this unprecedented time, I think a lot of people need that special hope story, that can actually motivate more people in our community, And when I hear your project, and I feel I resonate to what you're trying to do, and that's why when I approach you and you quickly accepted it and you say yes to me, I'm actually so overjoyed. And I start to talk to the local, the people like Arun, Ran, Liu, and even Joanne, so and this is why not, I would want to share that story with the community. I mean, they're so brave. I really salute them. So thank you again. Thank you everybody for participating. So on behalf of the local fitness community, I really wish to thank you and Steve to help us in this whole project, and hopefully I can actually get another sessions on with you. Now that more people know about what we are trying to do to help them in time like this. So I hope yes, as quickly as I can, let's hook up again and have another sessions. Thank you very much. Help us in this whole project.
Amazing. All right, so I close this wonderful workshop, which will be, it was recorded, and so it will be posted on our Facebook group. And so I close with one final quote. It's everyone that really knows me personally, and they know that I like taking a lot of the things that I do and putting them into one-liners. All right, so I leave you with my final quote. These are not times to bring back what we had, but to become something better. I say again, these are not times to bring back what we had, but to become something better. Everyone, give a good wave to everybody right now, and then a fist bump, like Steve says, because you're changing the world one Zoom call at a time. Bless you all, everyone, and I look forward to our continued success together. Hoo-ah!